Greetings everybody and welcome to Marvel Avengers Alliance videos here on G4G. So this is part 2 of my series of interesting gear that I really miss from Marvel Avengers Alliance. If you happen to catch the first video, you'll know that I went and dealt with the Crooked Branch, and now I'm going to be dealing with the Rectifier. So I deliberately keep the piece of gear out of the title of the video so that people are inclined to take a look at the video and kind of see what the hell is going on and what kind of craziness we've got. And what you see on the screen before me is the original video that I happened to do on it when the game was live. So before I go any further, please understand this is not Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux that you are seeing on the screen. Do not ask me questions about Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux. This has nothing to do with it. This is essentially a flashback video to when Marvel Avengers Alliance was actually live. So don't discuss Redux stuff here. Don't ask about mobile versions. Don't ask about Android. Don't ask about iOS. Yes, I know I repeated myself there, but some people, when you're like, don't ask me about mobile versions, they're like, what about Android? And don't ask me about Redux. Don't ask me about Alpha 5. Don't say, when is Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux coming out? You have to understand, this way I will tell you, I said it within the first 2 or 3 minutes of the video, this is about old Marvel Avengers Alliance. None of this is in the Redux right now, which is only in alpha mode. But here we go. So much like the Crooked Branch, the Rectifier was another one of those pieces of gear, a gadget actually, that you could do ridiculously fun and interesting stuff with. So we're going to pause the video and we're going to take a look at the Marvel Avengers Alliance wiki page, which if you did not use the Avengers Alliance wiki when the game was live, I feel very sorry for you. Your life is criminally devoid of really good information and knowledge. I loved the Avengers Alliance wiki when the game was live. I completely lived here. I know there was a game FAQs community, but unfortunately that was an absolute cesspool of cheaters and hacks over there. And I know there were the official forums, but I feel like if I was on the official forums, I was slumming it. Because everybody, and no offense, but everybody and their like average Joe, brother, mother, cousin, father, son's former roommate's dog was over on the Playdom forums. I feel like the Avengers Alliance wiki kind of curated a little bit of a higher level of thinking, at least based on what I saw. So, the Rectifier was a piece of gold gear that was on sale twice in the game's history. It was 64 gold, and it sold in August to September of 2014, and then came back around again almost a year later, 11 months later, in 2015 from July to August. It shared a look, albeit somewhat distant of a look, with the Disruption Field Array, which was also a gold sale item a whole year before the Rectifier. Now, the Disruption Field Array lacks the sparks around it, and it did something completely different. It had all enemies. It was not a quick action. It caused distraction and weak point. Really, just honestly kind of a weak piece of gear. The Rectifier, on the other hand, was absolutely amazing with its Tesla-looking coils sticking out all over the place. It was quick action and it was subtle. It caused energy feedback on enemies, which damages them after they perform an energy attack. Your allies get Rectifier. Rectifier? I didn't even know her. You guys have no idea how many days I've been waiting to say that. I've had a delay in getting this video out, and I've been waiting for that Rectifier joke for like a week. Sorry, I apologize. It's a dad joke. Energy Rebound. Heals after performing an energy attack. The Rectifier buff is energy attacks gain guaranteed hit and increased chance of critical hits removed when the agent is defeated. So guaranteed hit is honestly kind of amazing. There's always the parentheses under most circumstances, as we learned, because there's like phase and things like that. But the increased chance of critical hits is very, very big. Now, there's something that I want to point out over here, because this was something that I knew and I highlighted in a lot of my videos, and I didn't really know if other people noticed this, but it seemed like at least somebody on the wiki did. This also damages the person to whom it's applied when static charge is triggered. Fucking ridiculous. This is ridiculous in a good way, and this is why I think the devs at Playdom, the devs that worked on all this gear and their characters and their interactions and their debuff states and their buff states, and I don't truly think we really understood how talented the minds over there were until this point in time. I want you to think about what it was like when the game was live, and everybody's like, oh, this patch sucks, and there's this bug, and I'm losing PvP because of this bug, and this is crazy, this is broken, this is OP, this is nerf. Like, we all focus so much on the negative. And I know I did it too, like when they would expand a PvP season for a week because of bugs. I'm like, a week? A fucking week? Like, I just got done with the end of the PvP season weekend, and I'm like holding my breath over here, fighting off defensive losses, and I have to do this again in a week? Like, you know, everybody just kind of got into that fuck you status several times with Playdom. And I think we really have and I don't even want to say we have misty goggles when we look back on Playdom. I think they're very, very clear, but I think there is definitely a very hard appreciation tint applied to our glasses now, because no game has done this level of stuff since Playdom. And I would be probably more fanboyish to meet the people who designed this game than if Robert Downey Jr. showed up at my work with like 20 Iron Man robots behind him or something like that. I have such a level of appreciation for what these guys did when I realized no other game has put my mind at that level that it operated when it came to MAA. I mean, it was these chess people that think 20 moves ahead. They're the kind of people that were like working on this stuff, because this whole static charge thing we'll talk about a little bit later, but just the tapestry that all these threads weave in this game has never been duplicated since. I mean, there's one game, and this is going to be an odd one that I don't think you guys probably know. It's called Wizard of Oz, The Broken Kingdom. You basically play as one of several characters from Oz. You either play that game's version of Dorothy, the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, the Cowardly Lion, or Jack, the Pumpkin King. Essentially, like, it's weird. Pumpkin King, or Jack, is basically like an enchantress. He's basically like Chanty, where he works very heavy on debuffs, and he even has a debuff exploiting move where he throws a bomb, it exploits the debuffs on the target, and then erases them. You start again. Now, you only ever play with one of the characters at a time. If you're doing PvE missions, it's just either the Tin Man or Dorothy or Jack. And if you're doing PvP, it's just one of them, but with minions. And the minions are melee, they're ranged, they're dragons, they're the Wicked Witch, they're all kinds of things. And for Jack, I usually run minions that cause lots of debuffs. And then Jack also puts out lots of debuffs. And it's sort of very similar to a pesty Red Hulk or a pesty Enchantress or a pesty Anti-Venom kind of a setup. That game does have some synergy between, you know, if you have somebody who also does chilled, you're going to bring minions who do chilled, and maybe the main character will exploit the chilled status. That's got some stuff, but nothing. That's all like the upper crust layer of things. Every game that I've ever played basically has like 2 or 3 layers of phyllo dough that they go for all their synergy and everything. When you look back at MAA, you realize there was about 6 levels of it. And you had people that penetrated the various layers to go all the way down and do some of these combinations that gear like the Crooked Branch and the Rectifier did. Now, I'm not going to mention others because they're going to be for other videos, but the two that I produced, to think of what the Rectifier and the Crooked Branch could do is crazy. And there's something that you really could do with the Rectifier, which is interesting, is you could even combine it with the Crooked Branch, because all you needed to do was take somebody who was energy based. So let's search for, say, Karolina Dean. You take somebody who is energy based, and then you give them the Mystic ISO that says, hey, everything this character does is now magic. And if you apply the Crooked Branch buff, and you apply the Rectifier buff, so the agent essentially wastes a turn by doing two quick actions, the Crooked Branch and the Rectifier. And then it's Karolina Dean's turn. She's going to heal for 20% of her health on anything that she does other than the Prismatic Shield. Because she would get the Rectifier healing buff, she would get the Crooked Branch healing buff, and all of these moves that you see like 88% hit, 2% crit, that goes up to about 100% to hit, and then the crit goes up to like 50 maybe it was. This beam over here, which is 100% but 2% to crit, it has deadly crits. So what would happen if you up the chance that it crits? You up the chance of the mega damage. Maybe you have a whole bunch of the things that she needs out there, her Imperium energy, and you use the Rectifier in the round that you know she's going to do this for a whopping huge Kamehameha wave of damage. That's those levels that I'm talking about in this game. How things spiral out of control in a bad way to all the things that you can think about. So now I want to go ahead and run this video over here so you'll see me at the time using Pepsi, which was Iron Patriot in the or War Machine, the Iron Patriot outfit, and it was always called Pepsi Man, Pepsi Can, just Pepsi, and movie Rocket Raccoon. Watch the numbers in this 21 gun salute. Look at all those crits. And there's energy rebound every single time his 21 gun salute fires off. That's what I'm talking about. If he was low on health, that energy rebound was firing every single one of the times that his 21 gun salute was going off. That's what I mean about killer levels of stuff. Now, let's say you have on the agent, so that's the Cosmic Cardinal there, by the way. Let's say you have on the agent the Cosmic Cardinal, and the Rectifier buff is out, and your agent joins in on an attack or counters somebody. Like, here we go. Look, Cosmic Cardinal, that's energy, and I healed. That's a free 10% of my health that I just got back for doing nothing. I didn't do that. There's nothing that I did there to get that heal for 10% other than applying the Rectifier buff and then the Cosmic Cardinal doing what comes naturally to it. This is why I miss this game so much. Yes, by the end of it we had so many characters, and we definitely had characters we loved. Clearly, like, I miss Molly, I miss Spitfire, I miss Hogun, I miss Union Jack, but I've begun to realize something. Most of the characters that I miss are ones that you could do crazy things with. For Molly, it was when Hafe could protect her from all debuffs. And look, there's Rocket Raccoon joining in on Iron Patriot's 21 gun salute because that's what he does. And Rocket Raccoon is getting healed because of the Rectifier. So you have Iron Patriot healing himself and then Rocket Raccoon doing what he does naturally, healing himself. Crazy shit, isn't it? Doesn't this make you miss this game? Don't you yearn for a game where you could have this kind of fun stuff? So yeah, my agent's basically stacked with a whole bunch of energy weapons over here, and then that wave nullifier removes buffs. And now you'll see I'm damaging Ymir directly because we've removed all of his frost stacks over there, and he's now no longer immune, so he's getting his ass beat by a bunch of blasters. So I realized that, like, everybody that I miss were the people that I did crazy things with, like Hogun when he did his arrowed and how he joins in on attacks. Look at that wave nullifier hit. That's partially due to the Rectifier buff. That's the crits and hits, and it's gone now, but I would have healed off of that had the Rectifier buff been up. Molly with the Emerald Prism when Hafe protected her. Sure, everybody and their mother did Invisible Woman with air pressure and Molly and everything like that, and that certainly was synergy, but the Emerald Prism allowed Molly to become the biggest god of the game at the time because her stacks would just get crazy. Union Jack, Hogun with the way they joined in on their attacks. SpiNo, Spider-Man Noir, Rocket Raccoon, the way they joined in on attacks. Star-Lord, I mean, I miss the people that did interesting things. Sure, the brute force people were fun. I mean, Iron Patriot was clearly a brute force, and Havoc and everything like that. I think in this fight, no, it's not. Is it this fight? Yes. This fight goes crazy. It's not necessarily because of the Rectifier, but you gotta watch what Spider-Man Noir and Rocket do in this fight over here. So because my agent countered, it triggered Rocket Raccoon, which triggered Spider-Man Noir, and anybody that Rocket shoots is a potential victim for Spider-Man Noir. Because Rocket is doing an AoE as a counter, Spider-Man Noir considers each one of the 3 people on the field a potential target. And he can follow up on 1, 2, or 3 of just one of Rocket's attacks. And you saw him do that. We did nothing in this fight, and the entire enemy team is gone. Like, let me bring it back to the beginning over here. I want you to see this. My agent does the wave nullifier because the power armor attacked. Then Rocket Raccoon's like, oh, you did a counter. I'm going to help on that. And Spider-Man Noir is trying to one-up Rocket Raccoon. And the two of them just go nuts because Spider-Man Noir's attack is considered a counter or a follow-up, which can trigger Rocket Raccoon. These two could have been on an infinite cycle for that. And look, the entire enemy team is gone except for Sin, and that's mostly because she dodged a bunch of shit. That is crazy. And that wasn't really raw power. That wasn't like, oh, you know, all attack ISOs or something, or like an armory bonus in PvP. That was just a well set up team from top to bottom. And yes, lots of people did that with Spider-Man Noir and Star-Lord, or Rocket and Star-Lord and everything, but the Rectifier and the Crooked Branch, they add fun extra levels to it. And there's a whole lot of interesting things you could do with that if you run the ID card. So let's pause this and let's see if we can find the ID card in here. Biometric ID card, was it? Yes. Okay, so this thing. Automatically recover stealth and stamina after being hit. Okay. So now this is just tech and heal. There isn't any energy. But what if you ran a tanking agent, and then you run the ID card, and then you run like the Rectifier or something like that, and the Cosmic Cardinal? What happens if you bring the attacks to you and you run an energy weapon that counters? You would be almost invincible. And let's say you had Blessing on your agent. Let's say Angel gave you Blessing, which says all heals heal more. Your agent tanks. He takes a heal from the biometric ID card because he was hit. But then he has a Rectifier buff on him, or a Crooked Branch buff on him, and then maybe he does something magical, or he does something energy, and he heals again. Like, but then the Blessing makes him heal more, so instead of healing for 10%, of his health back. He's healing for 20 or 15. I forget exactly how much blessing does, but and the biometric ID card is special, so you are forcing your agent into certain patterns with the gear. Now let's take the ruby quartz rifle. This rifle was nowhere. Nobody really cared about this thing. It was back in Spec Ops 3, gun ranged, energy and tech. Nobody really cared. But look at what you've got here. You've got Cyclops' combat expertise, chance to counter in single area attacks. It ignores the enemy defense, it penetrates shields, and it has no cooldown. So you could jack your agent up with the Rectifier, the biometric ID card, the Cosmic Cardinal, and the Ruby Quartz Rifle, and know that your agent would fire the Ruby Quartz Rifle every single round, and if the Rectifier buff was up, he could heal from the Cosmic Cardinal, and he could heal from the Quartz Rifle, and if he was a tanking agent and he got hit, because he's protecting, the biometric ID card fires off. And what if somebody gave him Blessing? What if you changed the gear up a little bit and gave him a Mystic ISO so everything he did was magic, and you jacked him up with the Rectifier and the Crooked Branch? Now he's doing magic energy, and he's healing off of the Rectifier, and he's healing off of the Crooked Branch. You see what I mean? This is why I'm doing this video series. So this was the Avengers X-Men Spec Ops, and then it would also, I think, show up a little bit later or during Thursday's daily missions. So you did have a chance to get this later on, and it is one of those ones that came back around, like that stupid can opener that I never got that I always wanted to get. But let's go back to the video as we finish this up over here. So there's the Cosmic Cardinal countering, and there's the energy rebound. There's 10% of my health for nothing. And look, Spider-Man Noir jumped in on that because it was a counter, and now I just countered with the wave nullifier, and I healed off of that, and then Rocket Raccoon jumped in on that, and he healed off of that. You can't... Nothing has done this since then. I know I've been saying that, but I'm excited. Like, I'm excited that Goofy is giving us the possibility of reliving these moments, and that there are times when I really think about that, like right now, where I legitimately get emotional. Because this was just so much fun, and unlike a lot of mobile games, I could have Marvel Avengers Alliance up literally all day. I could be on my main PC, and I could be in WoW, or Heroes of the Storm, or raiding. I mean, not Overwatch. It's hard with a first-person shooter to split up your attention, but when I was telecommuting for jobs, or even while I was at a job, I can run a remote session in one of my home computers through like TeamViewer or VNC. Oh, look, there it is. There it is, people. Look at that. That's Molly, and that's Heroic Age Iron Fist, and there's the Prism. That was... yeah. That was a Ada level PvP team right there. I'm surprised to see the Ant-Man glove there, but at least I was in the top 1% at that point. So that's season 23, apparently, that was happening in this video. But even though the roster's going by so fast over there, does that nostalgic not just kill you when you see all those heroes that you miss? I mean, it's... for people who... there's probably two games where I'm like, why? When people say, oh, I quit the game for a little while, and, you know, I came back, or blah, 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 I got tired of it. To me, the two games are World of Warcraft and Marvel Avengers Alliance. I look at these and I'm like, how did you get tired of this? This was so much fun. And maybe now those people who did take gaps are like, oh, I wish I never did. And we all wish the game would come back, and that's where Goofy's going to save us. But, like, I could see the Dino... I saw the Dino thing there. I love that thing, and nobody else liked it. I just look at all these gears that I have, all the characters that I have, And yeah, I get emotional thinking that this could come back. There's the singularity matrix over there. Um, what else? The weather control device, the Guardian, or I can't. That might have been the Guardian or the quick. Oh, the Bishop. There's another one that's just like the Cosmic Cardinal, counter single target attacks. I forgot about that one. And it provides ammunition for the Rook, and we all know the Rocket Raccoon really loves the Rook. Um, that's another level that you could have done. And look, there's a spark plugger, which triggers static charge when used. And again, that'll be in a future video. But I don't know. It's really hard to say more about it at this point in time. I just there's the Oni breaker in there. There's that Dark Void sword. The Fist of the Colossus or the Techno-Organic Skeleton. There's the Caltrop launcher over there. There's the Black Roscoe. There's one of the Kang pieces of gear. There's the Possessed Pistol. There's the Phoenix Flame thing. There's the Magneto Shield. Wow. The Karolina there's the Ruby. Yep, see, there's me going for that Ruby Quartz rifle. It's the strategy in this, the depth that you could set things up is just crazy. Really is. And I really cannot wait until the game comes back to this level. And I mean, this isn't, I don't mean this as an offense to Goofy and the work he's done. The alphas are great. The betas will be even better. But when it comes back to this level, and I will be very willing to work to get all this gear back, to get all these heroes back, all that gear. There's the Wakandan Rungu over there. There's maybe the Brute, I think, on the screen, and then the Sin Flayer is the sword. I know that weird piece of golden yellowy gear there on the left. It was kind of useless if I remember correctly, but this is what I hope for the future of the game, and this is what I want it to get back to, and I absolutely will be willing to work to get it all back. And as you know, we don't have access to the old data, so don't ask about like, oh, can I get my gear back and blah blah blah. It's no, the answer is no, and you wouldn't want us to have access to that data because it was private on Playdom servers as being parsed through Facebook or the iOS app or the Android app. So yeah, you're not getting your stuff back, but if you love the game, you will be willing to work to get it all back, and I know I will, and I know there's a lot of gear that I'm going to be very, very thirsty to get back, and that's what I'm going to be covering in this series. So we've already seen the Crooked Branch. We have already seen the Rectifier. If you happen to catch what I said about static charge and that little interaction that was mentioned back when we talked about energy feedback, maybe you'll have an idea for the future. And just so you know, if you look for the Rectifier on YouTube, you'll see I wasn't the only one who covered it, but Kingfisher did too. I covered it twice with the Rectifier and the Cosmic set, and the basically a Dirty Tricks video, and then Kingfisher also covered it with when it went on sale, and the Rectifier, Rocket, and Rook, which honestly he should have teamed the Bishop up with that too, but I don't know if he did. So we both covered this piece of gear twice because we both had a deep love of the game, and I would like to say that both of us were real thinkers when it came to this stuff. So there's the Rectifier, everybody. This is part 2 in the series. More to come. A lot of content in this series, and I can't wait to have the chance to do a video on the Rectifier again when I actually get it to drop in the game, when we get it in Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux. So peace out, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the video.